or Beasley Media Group.
Good morning, I'm Larry Steinhouse, and welcome to Money Chat Now. Money Chat Now is a politically charged stock market pre-show giving you the politics behind the biggest moves in the stock market. It is presented with comedic common sense by an expert in financial literacy, and hey, that's me, Larry Steinhouse. Today is Tuesday, March 10th, and I want to welcome you to the show. We are here live on WWDB Radio 860 AM in Philadelphia, and we are live on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Hey, you can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, True Social, TikTok, and all the other social media sites by searching Larry Steinhouse, and I'd love to connect. Just a reminder, if you're watching online, hit that like button, hit that share button, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and like the Money Chat Now page on Facebook. You can comment live during the show on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and please say hi so I know you're watching. By the way, if you're commenting from a group and it's not the Money Chat Now fan page, your name may not show up on my dashboard, so please go to the Money Chat Now page, like it, and comment there so I can recognize you. And I want to say hello to a couple of people online already, Colin and Charles and Jim. Thanks so much for watching. By the way, today we have a new segment. It's called Interview Tuesday. And it's a new segment of the Money Chat Now show. And after the news, all the news, of course, that's fit to make fun of, we will have a featured interview. And today's interview will be with Alex Enton, running for Congress District 1. You definitely want to check it out. The interview will only be for those watching online, so stay here and watch this interview right at the end of the normal show. Money Chat Now is brought to you by Investor Schooling, and you can attend a complimentary class this Thursday by going to investorschooling.com, and there you will learn about real estate investing and stock options trading from those who do it every day. Hey, a couple other people who joined us was James and Tommy. Thanks so much. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. So on today's show, of course, we're going to be discussing the futures update. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin investors. We're going to be talking about the fact that maybe inflation is slowing. We're going to be talking about the Biden economy and remote work outside the USA. Oh, boy. All right, let's get into the futures and talk about yesterday. And, oh, wow. You know, I'm kind of thinking the entire portion of this show should just be, wow, just wow. I can't believe how bad the market was yesterday. You know, I said it might go down, and it might go down like 1,000 points, but it didn't. However, stocks did get crushed. The Dow was down over 600 points at one moment, and the S&P was down 120 at one point, and the NASDAQ was crushed, and it was down over 521 points. That's a 4.3% drop, and mostly unheard of. This market also took down the travel stocks, which of course makes me want to cry. I even added more to my CCL play yesterday, and I'm white-knuckling it through. CCL was down about 10% yesterday after dropping over 25% in the past 2 weeks. This is crazy. I'm like, American Airlines also hit a buy moment for me yesterday when it went below 16.5. You know, I got till the summer, so I should be okay. But boy, am I a bit nervous. Even the energy stocks got hit hard yesterday. Occidental Petroleum was down about 10%, and Marathon was down about 14%. Is this just about oil prices? Well, oil per barrel also is down, so what gives here? I'm going to have to go with the fact that bonds are paying very well at the moment. The scared money is moving to bonds, and there's a lot of scared money right now, and that's the problem. Well, you know, look, basically, I think we're going to have a dead cat bounce today. I sure hope so, because we need something to make up for the nightmare of the past 2 weeks. Now, remember that the market has ended down for the 6 weeks straight in a row, and all I got to say is, let's go, Brandon. He's doing a great job in making everyone want to say, let's go, Brandon. Of course, Janet Yellen chimed in with her opinion of the market yesterday, and the Treasury Secretary believes, check this out, the Secretary of Treasury believes that U.S. financial system is in working order, but that Russia's invasion of Ukraine and China's COVID-19 lockdowns are making some goods more expensive. Oh, stop it. I used to have respect for you, Yellen, and now you're blaming the problem on Russia's invasion of Ukraine? Really? What did the Bidens promise you if you pushed their crappy agenda? Let me explain it to you so that you both understand it, both you and the brain dead in the White House. The problems are because of the runaway inflation and the need to raise interest rates at the speed in which we raise them. We raised them too fast. We should have raised them earlier. The war effect was temporary, and the effect is already factored into the market. Everyone knows what's coming, and it's going to look a lot like the times we saw in 2008 and 2009. But by the way, I'm ready for it. I actually took a moment yesterday and reflected on that exact thing. I did all I could to prepare myself for the meltdown coming. I have gold, I have silver, I have cash, I have lots of available credit, and I'm ready to pounce on good deals, and I'm ready if I need some emergency liquidation. I hope you are too, because it's coming, and these are some of the things that we teach in investor schooling, so you guys should be ready. All right, let's take a look at the futures right now. All right, right now we got the Dow is down. I'm sorry, the Dow is up. Wow, the Dow's up. I can't believe it. The Dow is up I'm so used to saying the Dow is down. The Dow is up 209 points. The S&P is up 30, and the Nasdaq is up 142. Still a far cry from where it was, but it's important to know that we are going up. All right, real quick before we get into the next topic of Bitcoin, I just want to say hello to a couple of people who just joined us online. We got Robin, we got Mark, and we got Dan saying, please make the bad man stop. I'm kind of hoping he means Biden and not me, but okay, that's fine. All right, real quick, let's get into this. We got Bitcoin investors. So about 9 years ago, almost none of you heard of Bitcoin. It was like the magical thing no one understood, but few had some of it because they were kind of geeks, right? Well, we all know what happened just a few years later when Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies changed the landscape of investing for those who never invested in anything before. It became this hot commodity that no one understands even today. Yeah, I know. You have a friend or you think you know about it. No, you don't. The problem is that it's not tied to anything tangible, and that makes the asset simply worth whatever the last person is willing to pay for it. Some of you might say the US dollar is the same, but here's the difference. The US dollar gets traded for goods or services, and it's the value of the goods or services that determine the value of the dollar. With cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, it's the value of the cryptocurrency that determines the value of the buying power of the coin. You get it? It's exactly the opposite. So why am I bringing it up? Well, with Bitcoin falling below 30,000 yesterday, many of the so-called investors are underwater with their investment. The value of Bitcoin has dropped more than 50% since its high last year. The value of all cryptocurrencies have fallen substantially since then. And, look, right now, cryptocurrency is like a game of hot potato, and the one who paid the most is the loser. With the way the structure of Bitcoin works, the miners who record and control the transaction can charge various rates for those transactions. Well, in the past few days, there's been so much traffic and transactions that the miners have actually charged the highest fees ever. So now we have people desperately trying to get out of crypto as the market tanks, and not only are they getting crushed in their investment, but they're paying extra fees to convert it back to cash. It appears that 40% of all investors are now underwater in their investment in crypto. So what are you going to do? Well, I believe the $30,000 mark is a good entry point, but only if you have some money that you're willing to risk losing. Remember, this is an investment that's based on the price someone's willing to pay for it. As the general stock market goes down, money will get tighter, and crypto may not be the best place for industrial investors. Just my opinion, but it's still got a far way to go to make it mainstream, and when it's completely mainstream, the values will pretty much stabilize. On the other hand, it's mainstream enough that it's probably now in the range that won't go much higher than 40,000. So Bitcoin it's above 31,000 right now, but probably going to experience the same dead cat bounce as the rest of the market. So be careful about this and watch for it. All right, let's talk about inflation slowing. Well, I got to tell you, it's a good thing gas prices are on an average of 4.65% a gallon. It's a good thing milk is at an average of $4.21 a gallon, and it's a good thing that mortgage rates are an average of 6.2%, and finally, it's a good thing that the bond rate is now over 3% and quickly approaching 3.5%. Why is it a good thing? Well, because many people can't afford the increases in prices anymore, and that means they will buy less. So what does that mean? It means that inflation will slow down, and that's exactly what's happening. People are starting to run out of money and starting to do exactly what the Fed wanted us to do and stop buying stuff. Well, as you know, inflation was at its highest at 7.9% year over year in February, and now that we see a definite slowdown in inflation as prices keep getting higher, inflation projections show that we were about 6.3% for the month of April. All right. It isn't really much of a drop, but I do have to say that the new interest rates haven't really kicked in yet. Mortgage applications are down, and it means that refinancing is slowing. The new home buyers are going to find out that they need more money to buy the same house, and basically the same house that they could have bought 6 months ago is going to cost them probably somewhere near $1,000 more a month. So automobiles are still scarce, and at least that's what they're trying to make us believe, right? And the prices are still up. I recently actually paid $5,000 over a sticker to buy a car. I never did it in my life before. The Fed needs to realize that each move takes time to affect the economy. Minneapolis Federal Reserve President Neil Kaspari said in an interview, "I'm confident we are going to get inflation back down to our 2% target." Look, I got to agree with them. It's just a matter of time, and they're going to be raising interest rates again, but frankly, I believe they need to skip a cycle and let the latest rate increase kick in first. Like I've been saying for years, they should have been raising interest rates 6 years ago, but what do I know? I'm just a guy in a blue jacket. All right, let's take a break, and we'll be back with the rest of the Biden economy news. And after the break, we have a report on the Biden economy and the future of remote work. And it's not what you think. Stay tuned, and we'll see you guys in a minute. Hi, I'm Larry
Okay,
Steinhouse,
so
and
you
I've written
thought
a book
about
called
investing
Money
in...
Hacks. The subtitle to this book is because everything you think you know about money is wrong, and I promise you there are things you think about money that are wrong. There are chapters in this book that I think you will find absolutely fascinating, and some of them are, what is money anyway? Can money buy happiness? I'll bet you don't know the answer to that question. The truth about credit scores, how you can actually use credit cards to rebuild your credit. I also have chapters on being your own bank, how to buy houses with an IRA, and how to invest with other people's money. There are so many other chapters. There are 22 total chapters in this book, and I promise you're going to learn how to make more money and pay less taxes when you buy this book. My name is Larry Steinhouse. The name of the book is Money Hacks. You can get this book wherever fine books are sold, and you can go to barnesandnoble.com right now and pre-order it. I hope that you will enjoy it. Back to Money Chat Now. I'm your host, Larry Steinhouse. And of course, if you'd like more information on the Money Hacks book, go to moneyhacksbook.com, and you can actually go to our book launch. So you can go to our book launch, go to Money Hacks and moneyhacksbook.com, and you can do that. By the way, I noticed that once again, our feed on Facebook has been hacked. We've eliminated most of them, but just ignore those guys trying to sell Bitcoin on the Money Chat Now page. It's actually pretty funny. All right. By the way, if you're listening on WWDB Radio 860 in Philadelphia, please set that preset to your, please set this preset to the station and listen every morning at 7:30. Hit that like button. Let me know you enjoy the show if you're watching on Facebook, and leave comments on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and I'll try to respond to them. All right. So far, of course, we've been discussing the futures update, and right now the Dow is up 203, the S&P is up 26, and the NASDAQ is up 136. We talked about Bitcoin investors and how they're having some trouble. We talked about inflation slowing, and of course, coming up, we have the Biden economy, and we have remote work outside the United States. And then, of course, we have today's picks and plays. But did you guys hit that like button? Did you guys hit that share button? Come on. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and don't forget to leave comments on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter. And if you're listening on WWDB Radio, be sure to set a preset to this station and listen every day at 7:30. Also, look up Money Chat Now on Facebook when you get home and let me know what you think. All right, before we start the second half, don't forget about my book. We know a financial situation is coming. Will it be a recession or a simple downturn? Well, if you want to survive through it, you should order my new book. Go to barnesandnoble.com and look up Money Hacks by Larry Steinhouse. Pre-order it, and I promise you're going to learn something. There are chapters in this book about making more money and chapters about how to pay less taxes. Like, as I said before, I made about $100,000 so far this year, and I'll never pay taxes on that money. And I mean never. Learn from me as I teach you how to do that with so many other money hacks. All right, I also want to remind you the new segment of Money Chat Now show. After all the news that's fit to make fun of, we will have our featured interview, and today's interview will be Alex Enton, running for Congress in District 1. And the interview will only be for those watching online, so if you're watching online, make sure that you continue to watch online, and you'll be able to see that interview. All right, let's get into the second half, and let's talk about, of course, the The Biden economy. Well, we all know who's to blame for this economy. We all know who's to blame for the out-of-control inflation. We all know who's to blame for the high gas prices and the runaway prices for food, housing, and just about everything else. Yes, it's President Trump's fault. Hey, wait a minute. Did CNN get a hold of my teleprompter? What gives here? What's going on? No, it's not Trump's fault. It's the 2,000 Mules' fault. They got Biden elected in the first place. Anyway, the Biden economy, after we had the Great Resignation, might now be causing a great unretirement. That's right. Many people who retired last year are now climbing out of bed early to go to work as they watch their 401ks go down to 301ks or maybe even 201ks, if you get the joke. The retired just don't have what they thought they had just a few months ago to live on. Both the inflation and the reality that their investments are tanked is making it difficult for some seniors to make ends meet. You know, it doesn't sound like much, but according to the employment site, Indeed, it is reported that as of March 2022, roughly 3.2% of workers who retired a year earlier are now employed again. Indeed said that's a decrease and a subsequent rebound in unretirement that has precedent. During the financial crisis of 2008 to 2009, the last major recession to impact the United States, workers were enticed out of retirement as the labor market became more lucrative. Look, according to the Federal Reserve, from October 2021 to March 2022 alone, more than 850,000 Americans returned to the job market. Look, remember that over that same period, inflation increased by another 2.3%. After already risen from 1.4% in January. So what does it mean? As I said yesterday, the job market is going to change. It won't happen overnight, but watch as many people will be returning to work, and at the same time, we will see many companies cutting jobs. We have already seen that Meta and Uber are cutting jobs, and this is just the beginning. Wait till the newer real estate agents and newer mortgage loan officers start to fail because they never learned how to be in a slow market like the one coming. Or wait until the crypto investor finally realizes that his Bitcoin is never going to be what he paid for it at $60,000. The reckoning is coming, and Biden is the wrecking ball. Ugh, unbelievable. All right, let's talk about this. Let's talk about remote work. Hey, remember how all of you decided to go to work in your pajamas while working from home? Well, many are complaining that they may actually have to go back to work to the office or have already returned. Well, as the masses are complaining and saying, hey, I did a fine job working from home, many tech companies are agreeing and realizing that now they have systems in place for people to not be in the office. Well, you might think that's a good thing, but the companies are realizing that if they don't need people to work in the United States anymore. So they're realizing that they don't need you, they need anybody. They could work from anywhere. They have people working anywhere in the United States with the same systems they installed during the Great Scamdemic. That means, you guessed it, expect jobs to move overseas again. This was a big thing many years ago when computer consulting companies used a lot of remote work, mostly in India. And by the way, it helped India's economy grow, and it grew fantastic, and of course it slowed our economy. But now we have the beginning all over again. It used to be that someone would need to move here, get an H-1B visa, and could work for 3 years in the United States. Now, with all the systems in place for remote work, they no longer need to be here, and they won't be. Hey, who knew all the repercussions of the greatest scam ever perpetrated on the world? You know, the scamdemic. Let's go, Brandon. And let's take a break here, and when I come back, I'm going to give you my picks for the day, because we have to just say, hey, let's go, Brandon. It's all about Brandon. All right, we'll see you guys in a minute.
Okay, so you've thought about investing in real estate, houses, apartment buildings, properties, but don't really know where to start? Well, what if you could very easily learn how to gain strategies to use other people's money to buy and sell houses in the Philadelphia area? If you could learn and network with successful area real estate investors and how to produce monthly income on rental properties without headaches, that place is Investor Schooling. With Investor Schooling, you'll learn from 2 Philadelphia area rockstar real estate investors, Phil Falcone and Larry Steinhouse about how to buy and sell properties the easy way and teach you basic and advanced techniques to help you make money in real estate. You can attend investor schooling in person or online visual classes 8 times a month. You can and will learn how to make money in real estate. Call for free information and get a complimentary pass to one of these classes. But don't delay, as these complimentary passes are limited. Call the number on your screen now or visit investorschooling.com. Investorschooling.com.
All right, welcome back to Money Chat Now. I'm your host, Larry Steinhouse. And hey, why don't you go to investorschooling.com, sign up for a free class this Thursday, and I promise you, you're going to learn something really big. We have a guest speaker this Thursday. Actually, he's watching right now. It's Dan Satowski. So we're going to be having a guest speaker this Thursday. He's going to be absolutely fantastic. So go to investorschooling.com and sign up for that class right away. And also, don't forget that after the show that normally used to end at 8, we're going to be having an interview. We're going to be interviewing Alex Entin at 8 o'clock. And we're going to be talking to him about his run for District 1, for Congressman in District 1. And,
Hi, I'm Larry Steinhouse, and I've written a book called Money Hacks. The subtitle to this book is because...
I'm on TV again. All right. Anyway, he might want to take a run for... He's running for District 1, and you guys should learn all about what he's doing and maybe even vote for him. All right. Also, we've been discussing, of course, the futures update. We've been discussing Bitcoin investors, and right now the futures are right now... The Dow is up 203, the S&P is up 29, and the NASDAQ is up 147. We talked about the fact that Bitcoin isn't doing so well, and some of the Bitcoin investors are kind of hurting. We talked about inflation slowing. We talked about the wrecking ball Biden wrecking the economy. And we talked about remote work outside the USA. And, of course, coming up, we have today's picks and plays. But did you guys hit that share button yet? Did you guys hit that like button? Come on, hit the share button, hit the like button, right? And let everyone know what great stocks are playing by sharing this information. You can share in your page or in groups that you feel will benefit from the great stock plays. And, of course, you can leave comments on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. All right. If you're listening on WWDB Radio, set one of your presets to this channel and listen every day at 7:30 for all you need to know about the politics behind the stock market. And for those online, don't forget, today is Interview Tuesday, and we have a great interview coming up with candidate Alex Entin at 8 o'clock. You guys on WWDB Radio, pull over, take out Facebook, and watch it there. All right, let's talk about what's going on today. I think we are going to have a dead cat bounce for sure this morning. It looks like it's possible. The Dow is up again about 200 points. But the problem may be that, that may be all we get this week is a dead cat bounce. I'm still expecting the Dow to tank to about 31,500 by mid-month, and that's only a few days away. It's kind of a crazy market. You got everybody getting panicky. You got everybody nervous. You've got scared money, as I talked about before. The scared money is moving money to bonds, and that's a big problem. Look, I also don't think we're going to see any real relief until the end of the first week of June. If my dead zone theory holds up, now the dead zone theory is something that I talk about, and basically the dead zone theory is the midpoint between earnings periods. And it happens often that between earnings periods, stocks get boring. So the money managers get bored with the stocks, and the stocks start to go down. Now, you got to remember, earnings just ended, literally just ended. I mean, we got a couple of straggler earnings coming through right now, but it's pretty much over. And that makes us entering the dead zone. So if you understand what I mean when I say the dead zone, we're going to be talking about stocks starting to go down now. So I actually see that 31,500 point happening, and I see it happening soon. So we got to be careful here and go in with caution. At the same time, you do know, of course, the travel plays, which are my plays, they're scary, or they may be the greatest opportunity ever. Me, I'm playing them as the greatest opportunity ever. It's kind of nervous. It's kind of making me nervous. But you got to understand that it could be a great play. You just got to be able to get in there. You got to be able to, say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm going to go for it. I'm down a lot of money in the travel stocks right now. I mean, look, you saw CCL was down yesterday $1.85, which is insane, and especially when the stock's only 15, right? So it was insane to be down that low, but I still think it's going to come back. Now, I do see it moving up slightly today, but I don't think it's moving up enough to make me comfortable after what happened yesterday. But I still think they're great plays, so you want to get into those. I also see Meta I'd like to see Meta, which by the way is Facebook for the guys who don't know, I'd like to see Meta fall back into the 175 range before I feel it's a buy. I'd like to say, hey, look, I think it'll go back up between 175 and 200 and probably stay there for a while. As I've also said, by the way, I did say that the Dow would go down to 31,500. I also believe it'll be down to 28,000 by the end of the year. So be careful, pay attention to this. I also right now, I like higher dividend paying stocks. So if you want to be in some stocks that are safe and you're looking for a safe place to park your money, basically you might want to look at stocks like Kellogg's, maybe AT&T, or even Procter & Gamble. And these are stocks that move slow, so you don't expect to buy them. Like AT&T is like 19 something. Don't expect it to go to 30. It's not. It may just stay at 19 or 21 forever, but it's paying a dividend, and your money is pretty safe. The nice thing is dividends like AT&T are like a 5% dividend. Also, right, maybe we'll get lucky. I don't know. Maybe we'll get lucky this week and we will recover. But I got to tell you, I'm still skeptical. I feel like by the end of the week, we're going to be at my target, which is the market, like I said, about 31,500. And the good news is at that level, I feel the market will range there back to about 33,000. So in the meantime, 31,500 to 33,000 is probably what the market's going to range to. Let's take a quick look at the futures right now. We've got the Dow up 188, we got the S&P up 26, and we got the NASDAQ up 142. Let's talk about crypto real quick. Bitcoin is above 31,000, and it's a far cry from where it was at 40,000 last week. But I'll tell you, just my opinion is, if you really want to do it, now's the time to do it. Get out of 40,000. That would be where I would get out. I think it's the right play there. Gold and silver are really disappointing me. I am surprised. Gold is about 1850 and silver is just above 21.5. Don't forget, silver peaked just under 30 about a year ago. So I'm kind of surprised at these numbers. But I got to be honest, it's still doing better than Bitcoin at the moment. The Treasury bond pulled back a bit, and it pulled back a bit because of the dead cat bounce, and it's now just above 3%. So I would expect that also to move up soon. I don't know. It's not a great thing. Oil is jumping all over the place, and it's now about 101 a barrel, but gas prices, of course, are still up. Hey, don't forget, if you're watching online, it's Interview Tuesday, and we have a great interview with Alex Ennin coming up after the break. But I want to thank all the listeners on WWDB Radio AM 860 AM in Philadelphia, and I want to thank you for your continued support. My name is Larry Steinhouse. I am the host of Money Chat Now, and I am the CEO of Investor Schooling. And don't forget, from time to time, I own some of the assets and options discussed in this show. And for all you guys listening on the radio, have a profitable day, and the rest of you guys, stay tuned because we got a great interview for you.
Hi, I'm Larry Steinhouse, and I've written a book called Money Hacks. The subtitle to this book is Because Everything You Think You Know About Money is Wrong, and I promise you there are things you think about money that are wrong. There are chapters in this book that I think you will find absolutely fascinating, and some of them are, what is money anyway? Can money buy happiness? I'll bet you don't know the answer to that question. The truth about credit scores, how you can actually use credit cards to rebuild your credit. I also have chapters on being your own bank, how to buy houses with an IRA, and how to invest with other people's money. There are so many other chapters. There are 22 total chapters in this book, and I promise you're going to learn how to make more money and pay less taxes when you buy this book. My name is Larry Steinhouse. The name of the book is Money Hacks. You can get this book wherever fine books are sold, and you can go to barnesandnoble.com right now and pre-order it. I hope that you will enjoy it.
Welcome to today's Money Chat Now interview. In this portion of the show, I take the opportunity to interview interesting people and introduce you to their products, their services, or just their good intentions. If you'd like to be a guest on my show, you can go to thelarrysteinhouseshow.com/guest. That's thelarrysteinhouseshow.com/guest, and let me know that you want to be interviewed. All right, let me tell you a little bit about today's guest. Today's guest is a parent, and he's a parent that cares about children and your children, his children and your children. He's been an outspoken objector to how our children have been treated for the past 2 years. He is an anti-mask freedom fighter and helped convince the school board to drop the child abuse. He currently is fighting the fight against critical race theory, and like many of us, believes critical race theory is one of the most racist and undermines the progress of both white and black children. Today, my guest has also decided to take his dedication and passion and make a run to try to unseat the current congressman for Bucks County. Let me introduce you to my guest, Alex Enton. Alex, thanks for coming. I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate you having me on.
All right, so I have a question for you. Why the hell are you running?
Well, for me, I looked at what is going on in our country and I got very concerned. I'm a concerned parent and I'm a concerned citizen of the United States. I came here when I was 9 years old after fleeing from a communist regime which I lived under in Moldova. And when I see things that are going on here, I see a lot of similarities there. And because of that, I decided that I need to get involved because I don't want our children growing up in the type of environment that my family and I escaped from.
All right, so actually, I don't even know if you'd mind. I'd like to go back to those times. So you came here when you were 9, correct?
Yes.
So you were living, you're living there until you were 9 years old. I mean, what did it feel like being a child living there?
It was not easy. For example, you couldn't really go out and buy toys anytime you wanted. I would walk down the street with my mom, and if I saw a truck pull up that they were about to sell something, we would jump in line real quick, not knowing what they're selling, but to make sure we didn't miss out on it. So this is how we had to live because it was not a place where you can just walk into and just buy whatever you want. And so because of that, it was a very difficult and something that I had to get used to as I was growing up under the communist regime.
So is that normal there? Is that so? It's like everything there is done that way, where there are no stores, or are there stores and they're just limited? Explain to me, because when I was a kid, I would go into stores and my mother would say you can't have that. So I'm wondering if it was similar or if it was because you really just couldn't have it because you couldn't find it.
We couldn't find it, and that was the thing. When you walked into supermarkets, the shelves were bare, and it's not something you could just be, hey, I want this, and just buy it. If you wanted to buy anything in terms of big ticket items like furniture, you had to wait in the 2-year line, and if they called out your name afterwards in 2 years, you'll be able to purchase it if you were still in the market for it. That's how you bought things.
You did say 2 years, right?
Yes.
So I remember when I was a kid, I used to read articles, and it's funny that this came up recently, right? I used to read articles about toilet paper. I mean, would you have to wait in a 2-year line for toilet paper?
I don't remember about toilet paper, but I wouldn't be surprised. Granted, a lot of this I was shielded from by my family, so I didn't have to know about all the ins and outs of it, but definitely remember running into and jumping into lines when trucks or whatever would come up and something would be available to buy. We would just jump in line no matter what.
So how did the last 2 years look like to you compared to you living it's Moldova, right? Or Moldovia?
Yes.
Moldova or Moldovia?
Moldova.
Moldova. Okay. This is just, I'm just geographically challenged. What can I tell you?
I don't believe you.
I know I'm here and I know you're over there. That's all I know. Okay. So Moldova. So how did the last 2 years look besides some of the, I don't know. Well, you tell me, in your opinion, what did it look like to you?
Well, and obviously 2 years ago, as I'm sitting at the dining room table with my kids as they're taking classes on Zoom, I see a lot of similarities. And
well, obviously, and I got to stop for a minute, but obviously, you didn't take classes on Zoom when you were 9.
The kids were taking classes.
No, but you weren't. Right, but we're comparing, right? So you're comparing. You didn't take classes on Zoom. There wasn't any Zoom at that point. So why is that like? When you say they were on Zoom, why is it like what you were doing, or is it what they were learning? Is that what you were concerned with?
Right, what they were learning.
Oh, okay, I got you.
As we were sitting in 2020 with my kids, I saw a lot of similarities to when I went to school under the communist regime, where I remember sitting one day in class and the teacher said, if I call out your name, please stand up. And so she proceeded to call out kids' names, and I was one of the kids who was called. After she was done, she turned to the rest of the class and said, class, please take a good look at the kids who are standing. They're Jewish. Now, because we couldn't practice religion, I didn't really know what Jewish meant. I come home to my mom. I'm like, Mom, what is this Jewish thing? she goes to me, "Don't worry about it. Go play with your toys." And as an 8-year-old, I forgot all about it until years later, realizing what happened. And so again, bringing it back to 2020, as my kids are taking their classes during the COVID and on Zoom, I see very similar things, except instead of using religion, they're using race to divide kids. And that's when I got activated and started getting involved because, again, all these similarities are very concerning to me because I know the direction that this is all going.
So you are Jewish then?
I am.
Okay, so basically what you saw was, you saw complete suppression. You couldn't be spoken to. You couldn't tell people you were Jew. The teacher had you stand up. Do you remember? Like, did you feel embarrassed? Did you feel you just didn't feel anything when that happened?
I stood there and couldn't understand why I was standing there. And obviously, when she called us out to be Jewish, I didn't know what that meant. So that was just. It was, and as an 8-year-old, you process things differently, and
Sure.
you kind of went in one year and out the other. But I had the remembrance to come home to my family and say, "Hey, Mom, what is this Jewish thing that they called me?" Because we could not. There was no synagogues. You couldn't practice religion at all.
Okay, so when this all happened, did other kids start to make fun of you, or it just went away and it was just that one day?
It was actually that year was the year that I moved to the United States.
Okay, that's good.
Right, that following.
So your parents
few
escaped?
months. We escaped, right? We were lucky enough, and it's interesting because in Moldova, right before we were supposed to leave, they started making us learn Moldovan language, and so
that's interesting.
Yeah, and so I'm sitting there, and they're trying to teach me this, and I decided to be one who speaks out about it. And I said, "Listen," I get up, I'm like, "I don't need to learn your stinking Moldovan. I'm moving to America. I'm going to learn English."
That's
Next
great.
thing that happened is my mother got a phone call. "Please come to the school. We need to talk to you." So obviously, I could not say that again ever afterwards. So, but yeah, it was one of those fun moments.
So how are you comparing that to I guess it's critical race theory is what you're comparing that to, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Critical race theory, diversity, equity, inclusion, social emotional learning, all of it is the same thing, which is basically a cultural Marxist ideology that is meant to divide and hate one another.
All right, so I look at critical race theory, and I find it to be one of the most racist things ever. You basically you're telling a black child that he can't succeed because the white kid sitting next to you is going to hold him back. I think that's awful. So I have a problem with it for so many reasons. But besides that, what are your views on it?
I feel the same way you do. It's terrible because we're telling kids that they can never succeed, so don't even try because of your ethnicity, color, whatever. That should not be the case. Everybody has the opportunity to live the American dream as long as they put the effort in, go to school, get a good education. They can succeed. Why are we putting kids down before they even start or have the ability to? And then vice versa, telling the other kids you're bad just because of your color, of your skin. Again, kids don't look at each other by color or ethnicity. They look at each other as, hey, you're Bobby, you're Joey, you're Melissa, Michelle, whatever. Nobody looks at what your ethnicity is. They are not taught that. Why are we pushing that into the classrooms?
I have an interesting story for you, and you'll appreciate this just because we're talking about this at the moment. I had moved to New Jersey from Brooklyn, and in Brooklyn, it was very mixed. And I moved to New Jersey, and of course, moved into an all-white neighborhood. It's not, and I'm going to say that it wasn't like we moved to an all-white neighborhood because we chose an all-white neighborhood. It just happened to be an all-white neighborhood. And a new kid moved into the block, and I really liked this kid. The kid was great. It was just a lot of fun. And I decided to have a party, and I had a party, and I invited this kid. And it turned out that only 6 people came to my party. And it was very odd. And I'm like, I wonder why nobody came to my party. Do you know the answer?
No.
The kid was black.
Wow.
And that's why nobody came. And I was shocked. I was like, what do you mean? The guy's like the nicest guy ever. How could you do this to this guy? And, and I ended up making having less friends after that. And, obviously this, we parted as friends. This kid and I parted as friends. It just wasn't a friendship that lasted many years. It lasted for about a year or so. It just wasn't, like any other relationship breaks down. But I was so shocked by the fact that people actually didn't come to my party because he was black. It blew my mind, actually. And I'm coming from Brooklyn, where I was mugged by black people. And I tell the story. It's actually on my website. I tell the story about this. And I didn't have anything bad about it. I just thought these were bad people. They weren't black people. So anyway, I don't want to because I don't want to steal your thunder from you, but you reminded me of that story, and I just find it hard to believe that people continue with this, and then we have people trying to fix it, and they're breaking it worse by fixing it. It's horrible.
Right, and that's the whole point. We got to teach history, but we should not teach hate.
Right, exactly. So what was your whole thing with the masks? I mean, you and I hadn't known each other. We met recently, and if you had looked up anything on me, I was so crazy about the masks. I actually put up a sign on Street Road that said masks don't work.
Wow.
Some people know that, some people don't. But you have kids in school,
yes,
and you were sending them to school wearing their mask after the Zoom classes stopped. And what was your take on that? How did you feel about it? What did you do with the school board about it?
I did not like it at all, and my kids were always complaining as well. I actually kept my kindergartner, who was supposed to go to a public kindergarten, actually stayed in private where they didn't have to wear masks, which was great. But my older ones had to. So I was going to the school board meetings, constantly speaking out about it, fighting the school board directors from being given the opportunity to remove the masks from the kids. And luckily, they were able to work with us, and they gave us the opportunity to make a choice. The parents have a choice of what they want to do, whether they want to send their kids in with a mask or not. And that's all we wanted, is for everybody to have a choice. You can't mandate it on everybody. If you want to send your kid with a mask, that's fine, but that decision should be up to the parents.
So I used to say, and I don't even know if I'm saying it jokingly, but I was really glad that my kids weren't going to school right now, because I probably would have ended up in jail. That's how I felt about it. In fact, I didn't fly. I didn't fly for the last 2 years. I'm actually getting on a plane for the first time in 2 years, in 2 weeks, because I actually felt that I was going to have a problem where, believe it or not, I felt that I was going to be thrown off a plane. So that would have been a problem too. You know what I mean?
Been a big problem.
Yeah. So I actually thought I was going to be one of those people who was going to be banned for life on a plane. But of course, I made sure that I that I didn't fly because I was so afraid.
Right.
So all right. So now I have a question for you. So you're running for District 1, correct?
Correct.
Okay. What does that mean?
So District 1 encompasses all of Bucks County and part of Montgomery County that is adjacent to the Bucks County on the northeast side of the county of Montgomery.
Okay, so it's congressman, right?
Congress, correct.
So what would your role be as congressman for District 1, and who would you represent?
So although I would represent the people of District 1, I would really be representing everybody in the state, in the United States of America, because when legislation gets made on the federal level, it actually affects everyone. And so although my constituents, the people who vote me in, are the people of Pennsylvania's 1st Congressional District, my voting and the way I put forward legislation will affect everyone in the whole United States.
Okay, so what would be some of the things that you would be pushing for to try to help everyone in the United States?
Well, everybody has the same kitchen table issues right now. That's the economy, the inflation, and immigration. And the way you resolve it is you got to bring manufacturing back to the United States, because that'll create great jobs. It will fix supply chain issues. It will also give the opportunity to fix the inflation that we currently have, because our economy will start growing again. Also, we got to be energy independent. We got to go back to being energy independent. Actually, Pennsylvania alone is the Saudi Arabia of natural gas.
Right? Yeah.
We have enough natural gas to actually export it out to Europe, so they don't have to buy it from anyone else. That's how much natural gas Pennsylvania actually has. And it will create, again, amazing number of jobs, which will improve the economy and everything else. The border is the other thing with immigration. That has to be resolved. We have to finish the border wall. We have to fund our border agents. And what we also need to do is label the cartels as terrorist organizations.
Absolutely true. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, I'm going to ask you a very pointed question. So be prepared for it. I'm going to make you nervous, I promise.
I'm ready.
All right, we'll be back in a minute.
Okay, so you've thought about investing in real estate, houses, apartment buildings, properties, but don't really know where to start? Well, what if you could very easily learn how to gain strategies to use other people's money to buy and sell houses in the Philadelphia area? If you could learn and network with successful area real estate investors, and how to produce monthly income on rental properties without headaches, that place is Investor Schooling. With Investor Schooling, you'll learn from 2 Philadelphia area rockstar real estate investors, Phil Felton Cohn and Larry Steinhouse about how to buy and sell properties the easy way and teach you basic and advanced techniques to help you make money in real estate. You can attend investor schooling in person or online visual classes 8 times a month. You can and will learn how to make money in real estate. Call for free information and get a complimentary pass to one of these classes. But don't delay, as these complimentary passes are limited. Call the number on your screen now or visit investorschooling.com. Investorschooling.com.
I'm your host, Larry Steinhouse, and of course, we are in the middle of the interview with the great Alex Enton. I'm very excited to be interviewing Alex Enton, and we're going to be talking about it. I promised you I was going to ask Alex a very important question. So here I go, Alex. Are you ready?
Ready.
Are you a Russian spy?
No, I am not. I am not a Russian
Well,
spy.
I don't know. When I do a search on who is Alex Enton, I come up with a website, and it looks like this one. It actually looks like it has you with the sickle and hammer, with a flag, with your face on it, and it has some other name with you, Alexandry Kachanov. Is that right?
Yes.
So help me explain this website. Now, I realize you can't see it right now because we don't have it in front of you, but who is Alexandry Kachanov?
Sure. So when I came to the United States, my legal name was Alexander Kachanov. And what happened was my mom remarried, and my grandfather was a father figure to me. And so he helped with me growing up and everything else. And I very much looked up to him. And so when we were becoming citizens, I had the opportunity to change my last name. And so I took his last name, which is my mother's maiden name. That's how I became Alex Enton. So that's where Kachanov to Enton happened. That's it. Plus now I don't have
It's
to
easier to spell, right?
Oh, I don't have to use the whole alphabet to spell my last name anymore. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. So we all know who put this website up. In fact, at the bottom of the website, I'm going to tell you who put it up. It says, paid for by Brian Fitzpatrick. Now, I realize you're going against Brian Fitzpatrick, and I got to be, most of the time, I really wouldn't find it, I don't know, profitable to talk about the competitor. But in this case, he is so mean to you. I don't get this. I mean, let him talk about his issues. You talk about your issues, and let's make it peace, right? But no, instead he has to come in here and make you. I mean, the things he says about you are horrible. It's really, really, it's unnecessary. And in fact, even if I like, I don't. Right, let me give you my view. I didn't mind Brian Fitzpatrick. I mean, I realize that he's not a real Republican. He's what everybody calls a rhino, and he's not the greatest guy to represent us. When you sit here and you talk, you are exactly what I'm looking for if I'm looking for a candidate. But why this guy has to come against you so hard? I mean, does he even know you?
He does not know me at all. And what's interesting is I'm not even from Russia. I'm from Moldova. So, and I came here when I was 9 years old. So I don't know. I guess I've been infiltrating since I was 9.
Yeah, that's why I said I wanted to know if you were a Russian spy. Could we activate you now? Is
right.
that so? We have to push your American flag button, and then your Russian spyism comes out.
Right, exactly.
So what are you going to do better for us than Fitzpatrick is doing?
The thing is with Brian is that when they say we passed a bipartisan bill that Pelosi passes, it's Fitzpatrick who's the bipartisan. That's why we have a bipartisan bill, because Brian Fitzpatrick is the bipartisan in the bill.
That's
funny. It's terrible. He votes for all the leftist agenda, and at a time right now where everything is going in the wrong direction, he's actually helping him keep going in that direction. So the economy, the inflation, immigration, all of it is based on the fact that he's helping them get their agenda through, between voting for Pelosi's Equality Act, which allows biological boys into girls' bathroom, into their locker room, competing in girls' sports, to Pelosi's and Biden's Green New Deal Part 1 labeled as infrastructure law, which is basically Green New Deal, social justice, and our dependence on China for electrical vehicle batteries. All of it is thanks to him for that being passed, for what Pelosi and Biden are trying to get through legislation. So it's terrible. So we need to get back to having someone in Congress who shares our values and beliefs, who wants to make America move in the right direction, because if the lights go out here, they go out everywhere. And like I always tell everybody, I moved to the first best country in the world, not a second best. There's nowhere else to go from here.
Very
So
good.
that's why I'm so about fighting for it.
I love that. That was fantastic. Hey, listen, everybody out there, take that as a soundbite because I thought that was the greatest. That was the greatest thing you could have ever said. It actually gave me chills. So congratulations. That was awesome, man. All right.
you.
So the other thing I've noticed about this guy, and again, just run a fair race. There's a lot of things going on about him taking down your signs.
Yes.
What happened with that? What's going on with that? Now, he did that with Andy Meehan, too. So when he ran against Andy Meehan, he used to put his signs right in front of Andy Meehan's signs. I mean, come on, let's have a little bit of respect for each other and run a fair race. But now I understand he actually pulled your signs. Is that correct? Or he had somebody who pulled your signs?
Yes. So in a single day, we lost almost 100 signs in one day. I had a retired gentleman who spent the whole morning putting up signs. That same afternoon, he put up almost 100 signs, and almost all of them were gone that same afternoon.
So, and then you had I saw a video where you had somebody following him.
So, interestingly enough, somebody actually caught him stealing the signs and videotaped it, and you can find it on my website and on my Facebook page, Alex Denton for U.S. Congress, Facebook, or electdenton.com. You can see the video for yourself. You can't make this stuff up.
No, yeah, it's heartbreaking. It's ridiculous. It's totally unnecessary. I mean, I'm actually thinking about getting, he's got the big signs that say so and so, endorsed him. I feel like putting a big sign that says that I'm putting it in front of it and saying elect Denton just because I'm annoyed at the fact that the guy does this. It's unnecessary. It's not.
Right.
It's not how you do it. I mean, you want to say. I mean, look, you've been here, and I've been goading you, and you've been a perfect gentleman. So you're a perfect gentleman to how your competition is responding to you or how he's putting you down. And you could be a gentleman. Why can't he be a gentleman? I don't understand it, but I'm allowed to say he's a nasty SOB. You don't have to say it if you don't want to. You could say it under your breath. But, you're smart enough not to do that. And maybe if he would only have half a brain, he'd be smart enough to not do it as well. And I don't get it at all.
I don't get it at all. At least, at the very least, if you're going to do a hit piece like that, at least hire somebody who doesn't do it like a first grader. That hit piece was terrible looking. And on top of it, how terrible it is to say that I don't support Ukraine when my wife and her whole family is from Ukraine.
Yeah.
To say that is despicable and disgusting. If anything, I deserve a public apology from him right away and removal of that ad off all the places where he has placed it. It's ridiculous to even suggest that my heart that I don't support the people of Ukraine is just terrible.
Yeah, and so I have relatives a long time ago who escaped from Russia, escaped from Germany, same thing, and it's the same thing. I mean, how could he do that? It's insulting, and it's insulting in a different way. It's actually like I don't know. It actually like puts a knife in your heart when you hear that you're being called a Nazi,
Right.
when you're a Jew. I mean,
Right.
it's like it's like. It's like Putin saying to Zelensky, "We're trying to clear the Nazis from your country." I mean, come on, really? I mean, and look, there are some shady things going on over there, and I don't want to get into that because it's a whole other issue. But don't say, if you're Putin, don't say you're going to clear the Nazis from a Jewish president's country. It's just a wrong thing to say. And in this case, it's the same thing with you. You're a Jew. You're an upstanding citizen. You didn't even want to get into this fight. You got into this fight because you didn't like what was going on with your children. You didn't like what was going on with the school, and that's admirable. So let him be admirable. Let him be honest, and let him treat you like a candidate instead of treating you like a second-class citizen.
Right. And what's more interesting is that this ad is literally taken right out of the DNC playbook. And so he's following suit, following exactly what the Democratic Party does and did to Trump and everything else. So now he's doing it to, a Republican candidate. It's despicable.
Yeah, it's very, very sad. It's very, very sad. I look at it and it actually upsets me when I see things like that. All right, so what else about you would make you the perfect candidate for Bucks County, for Montgomery County, and for District 1?
Sure. I have a lot of experience in finance. I have my undergraduate degree in finance. I have my MBA in finance. So I can bring a lot of that to Washington. So that way we can start balancing our budget, which hasn't been balanced in forever. We have almost $30 trillion of debt that we have to start working on. We can't just keep printing money and expecting everything to be okay.
Right.
And that's partially why we are where we are. And again, Brian Fitzpatrick is just voted with for the infrastructure law, which gave us an additional $1.2 trillion of expenses.
Where does all that money come from?
And listen, the printer, I just need to know where I can get one.
I tell you, but they printed it for us too. I mean, you know, we had SBA loans, we had EIDL loans. I mean, I got them. I needed them for my business to keep myself afloat. But how did they? I mean, I'm sure you're not even close to figuring this out yet, and hopefully you will be able to. I don't think anybody in office has been able to figure out where this money's coming from. It makes absolutely no sense.
No sense. Between, you know, Federal Reserve, all of it getting printed, I would love to find out how this all works.
Yeah, and you know, I got my hands on some of it. I don't know if you did, if you're in business or not. I don't know if anybody out there did, but at the same time, it's mind-boggling. And then we add the inflation to it because of it. You know, we had people spending money and doing things that they didn't normally do, and now we have that issue. It's wild. I'm blown away by it. You know, as a finance guy, an expert in financial literacy, this stuff blows my mind. I mean, we also saw, and you know, we saw the contracts. So I'm a landlord. I own a bunch of properties, and we saw the contracts that I had with my tenants being void because they decided that we weren't going to allow evictions. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that blows my mind, and how this country has become a socialist country, which you now understand. Oh, you fully understand because you lived it.
Right, and it's terrible. And all these things that they're putting in place between vaccine mandates.
Yeah.
I mean, that reminds me back to 1930s Nazi Germany when the Jews had to wear a patch on their shoulder, and basically if you were wearing a patch, you lost your job, lost your home, and ended up in a concentration camp. Just same thing with the patch.
I was waiting for the patches that had a V on it for the vaccine.
Right.
All right, Alex, we got about 30 seconds. We're going to put up your banner that says Elect Enton. How can people find out about you?
Go to my website, electenton.com, or follow me on Facebook at Alex Enton for U.S. Congress. I'm on Twitter at Alex Enton for PA. And hopefully you can learn more about me, get to know me, and if the message resonates with you, please come and support us.
Awesome. All right, I want to thank you all for watching the show. My name is Larry Steinhouse, and I'm the host of Money Chat Now. Money Chat Now is live every morning at 7:30 a.m. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And if you'd like to be a guest on our show, you can go to thelarrysteinhouseshow.com/guest, thelarrysteinhouseshow.com/guest. Fill out the form and let us know why you want to be interviewed. That's it. We'll talk to you guys soon. Make it a profitable day.